When people think of Arabs, many immediately picture the images frequently shown on television or in newspapers. Palestinians in the West Bank or Gaza throwing stones or Molotov cocktails at Israeli soldiers and police. While they are indeed Arabs, they are not Israeli Arabs. They live under Israeli occupation, not within the recognized borders of Israel. This discussion focuses on Arabs who are citizens of Israel, those living within the country itself. After Israel declared independence in 1948, many Arabs fled their homes, becoming refugees abroad. However, a significant number chose to remain. By the end of the 1949 Arab-Israeli War, there were approximately 160,000 Arabs in Israel, accounting for roughly 15% of the country's population. These individuals were eventually granted Israeli citizenship. Due to high birth rates, Israel's Arab population has grown to around 1.5 million today, about one-fifth of the total population. Over the same period, Israel's Jewish population increased from just over 1 million to around 6 million, a growth driven largely by immigration. In contrast, the increase in the Arab population has been almost entirely the result of natural growth. For understandable reasons, Israeli authorities often do not treat the Arab population as a monolithic group. Instead, they are categorized by religion: Muslims, Christians, Druze, and, within these groups, further distinctions are made. For example, Circassians in Galilee villages or Bedouins in the Negev desert. Different minority communities are subject to varying policies, effectively a divide and rule approach. Culturally and linguistically, however, all of these groups are Arab. They speak Arabic and identify as part of the broader Arab world. The differences lie mainly in religious beliefs, lifestyles, and geographic location. Israel's Declaration of Independence promises full social and political equality to all citizens, regardless of race, religion, or gender. In practice, however, Arab citizens do not enjoy equality with Jews. Long-standing distrust has led Israel to treat Arabs as a potential fifth column, posing a security risk. For decades after the state's founding, military governance restricted movement in Arab-majority areas until 1966. Israel is a nation of universal conscription, requiring every citizen to serve 2 to 3 years in the military. Arab citizens are exempt, a rational decision, since Israel's army faces Arab adversaries, and Arab citizens would be unwilling to fight their own communities. Yet military service in Israel is closely linked to social benefits. Exclusion from service effectively bars Arabs from full access to employment opportunities, higher education, healthcare, and social security. Educational attainment among Arabs is generally lower than that of Jews, and infrastructure investments prioritize Jewish towns over Arab towns, creating noticeable economic disparities. While Israel's law of return enables Jews worldwide to immigrate easily and gain citizenship, Arab foreigners face extremely restrictive naturalization procedures, even if they have family in Israel or marry an Israeli citizen. Bureaucracy is lengthy, complex, and unforgiving, often leading to permanent exclusion. Socially, the two groups interact minimally. Cultural, linguistic, and religious differences reinforce mutual wariness. In mixed cities, Arabs are typically concentrated in designated neighborhoods, maintaining separate schools, businesses, and community institutions. They continue their traditional lifestyles, speaking Arabic, attending mosques, observing Islamic holidays, and following Arab media. Ordinary Jews rarely enter Arab towns, and Arabs seldom enter Jewish towns. Politically, Arab citizens have voting rights, yet their representation is disproportionately low. Though they comprise roughly one-fifth of the population, only 6 to 8 Arab members typically serve in the 120-seat Knesset. Political engagement is limited, and votes are fragmented among several small parties. Only the Arab Democratic Party and the Democratic Front achieve modest Knesset representation. To date, no Arab has held a cabinet position in Israel. Beyond domestic marginalization, Israeli Arabs face isolation from the wider Arab world. Holding Israeli passports, they cannot freely travel to Arab countries and are barred from performing the Hajj in Saudi Arabia. Abroad, they are often suspected as Israeli agents, undermining trust and acceptance. In 1992, two Israeli Arabs were arrested in Egypt as alleged spies, only to be later cleared. Israeli Arabs also experienced separation from Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza, with whom they share familial and cultural ties. Wars in 1949 and 1967 created physical and political divisions. While Israeli Arabs live at higher standards than their counterparts under occupation and have adopted some aspects of Israeli life, including learning Hebrew, their identities and loyalties are complex. Unlike Palestinians under occupation, they generally do not participate in the uprisings that began in 1988. With the gradual move toward Palestinian autonomy, Israeli Arabs have a nuanced view of a future Palestinian state. They support its establishment in principle, acknowledging deep cultural and familial ties. Yet many prefer to remain in Israel for economic reasons and attachment to their land. Some fear that a Palestinian state might worsen their situation in Israel. Official Israeli narratives emphasize that Arabs enjoy higher living standards and greater democratic rights than Arabs elsewhere in the Middle East, a statement that is true in relative terms. Yet Israeli Arabs are far from living comfortably. They experience insecurity and limited well-being despite formal citizenship. As the Arab population grows and political awareness rises, Israeli Arabs are increasingly likely to influence Israel's politics and society. Some Jews have already recognized this and view it with concern. Israel's dual identity, as both a Jewish and a democratic state, creates a tension. While it promises democracy, it also prioritizes Jewish interests. The question remains, how should a state, where Arabs constitute 1/5 of the population, reconcile these conflicting identities? The establishment of Israel provided a homeland and freedom for Jews after nearly 2,000 years of stateless persecution. Yet this national revival came at the cost of Palestinian Arab displacement and suffering. The arrival of Jews meant the loss of homes, freedom, and national rights for Palestinian Arabs. As former refugees, Jews finally found a homeland, while Palestinians became exiles in their own land. Yasser Arafat famously remarked at the UN in 1974 that Europe's historical crimes against Jews imposed a moral debt, which, in practice, Palestinians were forced to repay. For many Jews, a sizable Arab minority within Israel is difficult to accept, especially since Arab population growth exceeds that of Jews. If current trends continue, Arabs could eventually rival or surpass Jews in numbers. In a genuinely democratic Israel, Arabs would also demand equal rights, including immigration privileges. While security concerns historically justified restrictions, the prospects of peace make these arguments increasingly untenable. Some extreme Zionists have even proposed that if a Palestinian state is created, Israeli Arabs should be relocated there. Yet Israel faces an unavoidable choice. It cannot fully be both a Jewish state and a democratic state in which Arabs enjoy equal rights. Long postponed, this issue is now unavoidable, as peace initiatives and a growing, politically aware Arab population bring the question to the forefront.